Fall Sailboat Show 2024. We're here at the Tylaska booth. How long has Tylaska been making what I think of as a really good product? It just bought your halyard shackle, the H5. Show discount. Get a show discount. And how long has Tylaska been making?
So Tylaska's been around for more or less 25 years. Started out with Tim and some of his buddies back when they were younger. They wanted to be able to tow a paraglider behind a boat because, obviously, and he couldn't find any satisfactory quick release shackles. And because him and all of his buddies were in engineering school, they designed their own. And from there, that kind of spawned our initial line of trigger snap shackles, and then that has snowballed from there into an entire line of high-end premium marine sailing hardware. We've designed a lot of our stuff in-house. We've also acquired a few companies over the years, like Sparcraft, Boom Kicker, and we just try to continue to innovate. We look at seeing what everyone else is doing and try to optimize it, and then once we have the first iteration of that, we optimize it and optimize it until we're happy with it, and then put it to market. All of our stuff is load tested, corrosion tested, made in the United States, and just makes for a really good product that I use before I even worked for them, because I've been sailing my whole life.
What's oh yeah, you were just saying earlier you've been sailing since in utero.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, I started sailing with my parents and my sisters basically at birth. I was standing night watches on the way to Canada when I was like 13. So I've never not been playing around with boats.
My daughter's first pictures on a sailboat are when she's literally 2 months old. My wife wanted her.
Yeah. Let's not go on about who killed who.
Sorry, I'm hiding. I'm just taking pictures of my friend right there. She's working.
No worries. Live shows, you know, what you do.
Yeah,
anyway.
checks out.
Yeah, you were, so tell me a little bit about, you were saying the other day when I was here that you had recommended some products that you thought would be a good design idea for Tylaska. What is Tylaska's kind of design process, thought, aesthetic?
So a lot of our products come directly from customer traction. So doing boat shows like this, or the ones in Amsterdam, or wherever, or just going out sailing, talking with people that are out in the field, and people saying, hey, it would be really cool if, and then we get that idea. Also recently with me coming on board as the sales and marketing person over the last year and a half, with my sailing background, it's allowed me to really get down in the trenches with the engineers and more or less design my dream hardware that I would want to use.
Awesome.
So it's pretty rad.
Yeah, that's a cool job description.
Yeah.
I think I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
What brought you to Tylaska? Just that you already knew the hardware, or?
Funnily enough, no. So believe it or not, Tim does Olympic trampolines. And I also do Olympic trampoline, and we met at a gymnastics class.
Okay.
And I was looking for a new gig, and he was looking for a sales and marketing person, and here we are.
Awesome. It's an interesting variety of talents.
I also used to fix airplanes in the Air Force and climb cell towers.
Okay.
I'm a Jill of many trades.
Good. I think that's part of the... interesting conversation I've been having, and I talked about this on an earlier live stream, with, folks that are in sailing. I know how I learned sailing, and I learned it by doing it because I was 5 the first time I took it home. You've been doing it just as long. How should we be teaching sailing, though? There's a lot of newer interest in sailing. There's 20, 30, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds taking their first sailing course, getting on a boat for the first time.
Honestly, for me, because obviously I was in cruising sailing literally my entire life, but the way I got really into being good at sailing and becoming a professional and getting paid to go sailing was I just went down to the local yacht club and said, hey, does anyone need a room? And I didn't really know what I was doing, at least in a racing sense, but on a breezy day, they're always looking for rail meat, right?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of started there. I was living up in Acadia National Park in Bar Harbor at the time, and I ended up racing with Northeast Harbor Fleet for 10 years. And while I was racing there, I ended up getting a job running a Southwestern 59 on Northeast Harbor, and did that for 6 years and sailed it all over New England.
So, assuming somebody doesn't have the 30 or 40 years to put into that,
yeah.
when we're teaching sailing, do we start with the basics, or like, so we've been talking about paper charts versus electronic charts.
Yeah.
Do we start with the electronic charts and go, here's how you want to use them and here's what they're based on, or do we start with paper charts and go, here's the nuts and bolts, now you can take a electronic.
Personally, I think you should probably run them parallel, because kids these days understand technology a lot better, but they still need to know how paper charts work for when the iPad does.
Right, yeah.
And they need to know how compasses work, and like they need to know how to figure out where the heck they are by dead reckoning.
Right.
So you should be running in parallel, learning the old school stuff and the new school stuff, because I feel like that would help mesh it together in a way that they would retain better.
I think so too. I was saying, like, you know, I think that we oftentimes present, you know, like, you get people interested in sailing, they don't even need charts because they're going half an hour from their port, you know, and they know it by sight. And then, you know, when you start teaching sailing, you present them with like a 0 to 1,000 level view of navigation.
I mean, I feel like at least with the community sailing programs we have around us up in Mystic, like the biggest one is actually at the Mystic Seaport Museum. They have a kids program that runs all the way from little kids and little dire dows, all the way up through a 65-foot wooden racing scooter named Brilliant. And when they're little kids just knocking around in dire dows, they're not worried about navigation. I mean, they're learning the basics of sailing and like pointing and direction, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But they have, it's kind of like, you know, kids sports, JV sports, varsity sports. You're learning skill sets as you move along into bigger, more high-performing boats.
Right.
So like when you're knocking around in effectively a bathtub, you don't really need to know how to read a chart.
Sure.
But if you're in your teens and you're getting ready to go out on Schooner Brilliant for the first time, you should probably know what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's, as an instructor, I would add in, like with the little kids, I would add in information that seems relevant to what we're learning that day. But it shouldn't necessarily be quite so structured, because for little kids, they're not going to retain it. So I think the instruction should be pertinent to the age and skill level of who you're teaching. If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, different line of questioning entirely.
Okay.
What does Tylaska get out of, what do you get out of coming to a sailboat show? What's your hope? What's your biggest, in your imagination, what's the best thing that can happen?
Do you want the inspiring answer, or do you want the sales answer?
Sure.
I mean, from a sales standpoint, we're here to sell product, make money, increase brand awareness.
Right.
But on the flip side, I'll take time to, like, the little kids that are walking around the show with their parents, I'll take the time to talk to them about shackles or give them a sticker or whatever, because, you know, I want them to be inspired to go sailing too, whether or not their parents are really pushing them to do that, because sailing is awesome objectively. And two, back with the sales hat on, they'll be my customer in 20 years. So.
Right. Hopefully they'll recognize the name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, it's about building brand recognition. But also, like I said, doing boat shows is a lot of our R&D. We come up with new concepts, bring them to the show, see what people think, see what could be optimized, get new ideas. Because, like, I can only go sailing so much. I have a lot of sailing experience, but I'm not going sailing every day. So, like, going out with people that are world cruising and hanging out with them and having a cocktail and talking about what's going on with their boat tells me what I should be helping design.
Speaking of new products, let's talk about the boom kicker real quick.
Okay.
Because you showed me this the other day, and I've been looking for a rigid bang or something else to do other than have a topping lift.
Yep.
I'm going to grab the camera. Okay. We'll talk about it over here.
Okay. So, if you can get the boom kickers in shot. So, obviously you have your traditional soft bang, but the boom kicker is these fiberglass rods right here that support the boom and gives you finer control of your sail shape, but it also holds up your boom so that you don't need to have a topping lift, which is really handy because then you're not dealing with it getting tangled on the tailing edge of your sail or chafing or anything like that, particularly if you have a very roachy main. And it comes in a variety of sizes, from little bitty baby ones that are basically nothing more than like fiberglass driveway markers, up to big stuff like this And so that covers the gamut from like 18, 19-foot boats all the way up to 38-foot boats, or even bigger if you have a split ring. Like if say if you have a catch or a yawl. So even if you have a 50-foot boat, but if it's a split ring, you could use a pair of these on the boat and get really good sail shape and not need topping lifts and just have an easier time sailing.
And talk to me about the economics of these.
Well, compared to a rigid spring vang or a hydraulic vang, these are much more affordable. You know, they're not as clean as a hydraulic or spring-loaded vang, but for a lot of entry sailors that are just getting into sailing, this will make your sailing experience much more pleasurable with minimal outlay. Like these small ones like this for, you know, a little day sailor, you're looking at $100 and 45 minutes of install time.
Right.
So it's a really easy purchase to make your sailing life easier and make your friends and family want to go out sailing with you more because you're not shouting at them or the boat or whatever. So.
Yeah, I was shouting at my boat the other day
Yeah.
because
you know, it's the classic line. If it's I'm sorry what I said while we were docking. you
Yeah.
know?
My friend forgot to put on the topping lift as we were lowering the mainsail.
Oh, and dumped the boom right in the cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. So,
You'll have
all
that
right.
on these bigger jobs.
Yeah. Let me set the camera back down and frame us up. There we go. I didn't introduce you or your name. I'm James.
I'm Natalie with Tylaska.
And you know, this is the last booth. Come to the Annapolis Sailboat Show. You still got 2 days and
3 days.
3 days. Oh yeah.
It runs through Monday this year. This is Columbus Day weekend. Well.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Enjoy the